Wednesday, September 26, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I'd like to talk about how socialism is throttling the economy, not only in the UK, but everywhere in Western Europe and North America. And I'm going to change also the way I do the video today. I'm going to talk about the subject first and then cover the markets at the end, see if people prefer that. If not, I'll go back to the old way. So as you could see, Billy's had a haircut. He looks really good. And it's one of the things I want to talk about because as some of you know, I did buy a franchise in 2012. I ran a shop in the high street in the UK. It was a pawnbroking franchise, and I ran it for about 2 years. And I learned the hard way that there's a lot of obstacles against small businesses. And what I want to talk about today, along with my story, is the story of Billy's groomer, who's the little business is owned by a young woman. She must be in her late 20s. Not much older, so she's like a millennial, and she had her shop in the high street or on Main Street, and it was always very busy. I had to book way in advance for Billy to go there, and always loads of dogs there. She was expanding, selling dog treats, dog food, dog clothes. It was a really, it looked like a good business on the surface. And it is a good business. She's very entrepreneurial. She's very good, always very punctual. And she does a great job with Billy. And I've tried other groomers, and they don't do as good a job. So what happened to Billy's groomer? Well, about 2 months ago, he was due to go for his grooming. And she texted me saying, unfortunately, I'm not well. I have to go into a hospital. We're changing addresses as well. Before she went to hospital, actually, she said they were going to change address. So I was going to take him to the new place. And then I got the text saying that she wasn't well. She was in hospital, but she would be coming back soon. And she has. And I took him yesterday to have his haircut there at the new address. And the new address is basically at a friend of hers house at the back of the garden. They've got a really big shed, and they've started doing it there. So and I spoke to her when I got there to drop Billy, and we spoke about the high street, and she said yes, the rent was too high. The landlord wanted to raise the rent. The business rates, which is what the council charged small businesses, was almost £10,000 a year. And it might not sound a lot of money, but for a small business it is. And that's what I want to talk about, how socialism is throttling the country. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on either side of the aisle. I'm not left nor right. I'm for small government. But in this video, I want to cover just the socialist part. Don't get me wrong, I know there are business owners, big businesses, who treat their workers not well. There's always going to be someone who's a bad character, a psychopath. But generally, I would say people are fairly nice to others. They want to cooperate with other people. They don't want to screw people. They want to, create value, make a living. And that's the problem with socialism. It kind of punishes everyone just because of a few rotten apples. And I think that's a huge problem. And nowadays we keep hearing, oh, millennials, they live with their parents. They don't want to go to work. They stay in the basement. But this young woman, she's married as well. And she's living with her mom, she told me. But they can't afford a place. She can't even afford to run her business. And we're supposed to also, excuse me, the economy is supposed to be doing really well. And I can tell you that business has been around for over 2 years. And she told me, I can't, she said, I was working very hard. She had other people working with her part-time. She said, I can't do enough dogs to make a profit. And right now, I don't know how long it's going to last at, at the back of her friend's house, if she'll be able to find a shop somewhere where the business rates are lower. So what are these business rates? Well, the local council collects them. And I used to pay about £10,000 for my business. And it goes to the central government. It doesn't even go to the council. What the central government does with that money, I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is that in theory, socialism looks very good on paper, but in practice, all it does is punish the small mom and pop business. Let's say, for example, this young woman didn't have to pay £8,000 in council tax, didn't have to pay VAT, value-added tax on her business. She might already be employing someone else. She might have been able to, afford a house with her husband. She might have already even have had a child. But no, these people, these politicians, the people also in the local councils, they've never run a business. They don't know how it works. And they're killing the high street. You just have to look around in the UK, maybe in the US as well. It's the same thing. Small businesses are getting hurt. I know President Trump is coming out with the regulation. But the other thing I want to talk about, not in this video though, because I'm not just anti-socialist, I'm anti-corporate socialist is what we have now, or corporate fascism, of helping big corporations, bailing them out. And I'm going to make a video about that. What I want is small government. Let the people flourish. Let young people flourish. Let people of any age, sex, color flourish. Leave them alone. Don't, stop taxing them. Yes, there are people who are not going to do as well. But there's such thing called private charity. But socialism is public charity, and it just destroys the fabric of society. It destroys entrepreneurship, and that's what happened. That's what's happened to this groomer, and it upsets me. And hopefully, she'll be able to, sort this out, fight these socialists that are everywhere, the regulation. And it's weird because when I was driving back yesterday after I dropped Billy, because it took about 2 hours for him to get groomed, I heard on the radio that an MP, which is a member of parliament, they're thinking of passing a law to stop ATM machines from charging people to take cash out. There are some ATM machines who charge you to take the cash out. And the reason he gave, this guy or girl, I don't know what MP it is that it will help people spend money on the high street, because the high streets are like dying. What a stupid person, Maybe look at the, all the high rents. Well, the high rents is more to do, I guess, with the landlord. But even then, the government is kind of involved because, they've goosed up the property market so much that the rents have gone up as well. But will it really improve? Will a shop really stay in business just because it's such a stupid, proposal? Will it really help the high street if people won't be charging 50p or a pound to take cash out? Will it really help Billy's groomer business increase? Her business was booming. She was always busy in that little shop. I had to book way in advance. If I didn't book in advance and Billy's hair was growing too much, and I called and said, "Oh, can I bring him in 2 days?" She said, most of the time she say, "We've only got an opening in 2 weeks." What about my experience? Well, it was the same thing, and I learned the hard way, unfortunately. I worked really hard in the shop, in the pawnbroking shop. I broke even just after 12 months. But it was only myself in the shop. I had to do everything. I couldn't afford to hire an assistant because I was paying £10,000 in business rates a year. If I wasn't paying any business rates, I would have probably employed someone part-time. I would have been able to do a few more things, make a little profit, make it worthwhile for me to run the business. And you might say, oh, but the government needs to, raise taxes. Well, but I would argue that this business rate does not even go to the local community. It goes to central government. We don't even know what they're doing with it. Well, maybe bailing out banks. So there you go. Socialism is throttling the economy or the country. Big government doesn't work. And that's why I've also started a couple of campaigns on my Monaco 64 store on Teespring. You can get a Help Fight Socialism mug. You can get Socialism Throttling the Country t-shirt or long sleeve shirt or hoodie to help the channel. I'll put the links below in the description. So don't forget, this is not me just being right-wing. I'm not right-wing. I will make a video about how big corporations and globalism also is destroying the economy in the country, not only socialism. So now quickly, let's go look at what the markets are doing. It's just before 8 a.m. London, so I'm a little earlier today. It's 5 to 8. Spot gold 1200.5, down 50 cents. Sorry. The range has been 1200 to 1202.70, so very narrow range. Silver did really well yesterday. The gold silver ratio kind of collapsed, crashed from 84 all the way down to a low of 82.70. Right now we're just below 83, so that was a good sign. Silver really zoomed up. This morning it's still holding. It's 1445 unchanged. Range has been 1442 to 1452. The Dow is up 20. Had another bad day yesterday. Still that breakout, that the breakout failure, is still in effect. We're below the all-time high still. It's 26,516, up 20 right now. There are some people actually who say that we are in a bull market and that we could even see, and that it could be a sign of hyperinflation, the destruction of the dollar, and that would mean that the dollar would go down against everything, and gold especially, and the stock market. We'll have to see. S&P up 5 at 2920. NASDAQ up 0.4%, 75.92, or up 29 points. Currencies, the pound is down 5 pips, 131.77. Euro is unchanged, 117.64. Dollar slightly lower against the yen, 117.64. Dollar a little strong against the yuan, up 0.1% at 687.40. Crude oil, WTI 72.20, unchanged. Brent still fairly strong, 81.40, up 0.2%. 10-year yield. I think yesterday we got up to 311, which is very close to that 313. Right now we're at 309. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on DTube, Steemit, BitTube, and on Twitter. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.